Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. This is Jared and Nate over at the eCarrierCheck show. We're doing a little Q&A today, just talking some shop. You know what I mean? We're just sitting here talking about the new update, things like that. It's not necessarily our regular Friday show, which we get a little crazy with the calls and things like that. But today, we're really trying to help people grow, trying to help people use our software any which way we can, Nate. So I'm excited that we're on today.
Yeah, me too, for sure. So for those of you that are here and are currently a subscriber, definitely throw some questions, or if you're new here, even throw some questions, and we'll answer your questions, and we'll kind of go from there.
Any way we can help you,
right.
You know what I mean? I had the opportunity. I had a guy call me. It was yesterday morning, and he said, "Hey, I need some help with some LTL. I didn't know what questions to ask," and it was such a great conversation. We just kind of opened it up and talked about those things. So any questions you guys got, I'd love to help any way I can. Something I do want to talk about, Nate. I'm new here. Hey, welcome. I love it. I love that you're here. Just to give you a quick understanding, eCarrierCheck, we're a sourcing platform. We're really just the greatest leads platform ever, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, 100%. We want to help you build some relationships in this crazy industry. So
our database is full of shippers. It's full of every carrier that's in the FMCSA, but we have some really crazy sorting functionalities, VIN functionalities, even vetting functionalities. There's some crazy stuff in there. So you can really make it kind of this one place, one all. We don't do rate cons or TMS stuff, but boy, howdy, we can really give you that. So thank you. We appreciate that. Any questions, throw them out. I don't know. We'd love to help. But I do want to talk about a situation that came up on a call yesterday. So finally, I really appreciate what you both are doing. Yes, I have plenty of questions. I'm still in a dispatching program. Yeah, we hear that a lot. A lot of people are running through schools, and we work with a lot of those schools too, which we enjoy. But anything we can do to help. I'm glad you're on and doing that. Nate, we have built probably one of the most interesting filtering functions. That's really what's we just did this update, and what's made it so unique and so special, and even our beta users that were on it before it really got released, is they were like, God, it's so easy to sort now. It's so easy to find people. And so I really want to just go through the filter functions on both the carriers and the shippers if we can.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's dive on in. And I'm going to share my screen here for everyone so we get a little bit of a taste of the website here. So, let's talk shippers first, Jared. You had a really good point there. You're talking to some guy about LTL, right?
Yeah.
But here's a quite interesting thing about us is we got some pretty quick, ways for you to start searching these shippers. Let's find some shippers that are in your area or in your niche, right?
Not to interrupt you, Nate.
No, you're
I apologize, good. But for me, as a freight broker, even as a carrier, because I used to work for an asset-based carrier, they had 200 trucks. It was nice to look up shippers by the equipment I was running in the areas that I was already running in. Right. And so it's like, wow, wait a minute, I can look up flatbed, shippers that are in Chicago or Denver or South Dakota, North Dakota, because we ran kind of the Midwest prior. But if you just run this and we take a look at the sort by and then the filters. Let's hammer the sort by, but then I also like just how simple these guys, our developer team, shout out to these guys. They're insane. They're just masters of their craft, and I love that.
Oh, definitely. This is like the Amazon of the trucking
industry. It is. It really is. I think so too.
Yeah. So it's quite interesting. Now we give you everyone the ability to start sorting by the size of the shipper, by the name, or even the hiring index. So you get those three available. And how quick it is to to quickly just switch, equipment type. So, obviously we're in dry vans. Well, maybe you want to start looking for more reefer shippers, right, in that Houston market. So you can see how quickly we can just move through those filters. We even have filters here as far as like carrier size. So if you want to find those shippers that are working maybe with owner operators or maybe those bigger mega companies, we could do that. So these filters are really going to help you hone down these shippers that are in your niche. And there's some additional information that we did add to as well, our regions. So you can choose the region you'd like to kind of look more into. And then also company age. Let's find those shippers that are working with maybe those carriers that are a little bit older or maybe a little bit newer.
Yeah, I love this. It's something that these guys that I was talking to about, that sorting functionality was like, well, hey, what's this hiring index even mean? And really what we've built is an algorithm basically to let you know how difficult is it to get into this place or not, right? It's just definitely just an easier functionality to do. So much nicer on the email side now. I sent it. Yeah. I think we should even show that when we go over to carriers. I'm totally going to show that. Love the math you all posted behind this. Yeah, I think the hiring index is probably one of the more important things. In fact, I got the opportunity to listen to some cold calls, give them feedback to some freight brokers earlier this week, and boy, it was just so interesting. One of the guys landed a call. The hiring index was like I think over the 60s. The other guy was over 50, and it's just it's just an indicator. Whether the difference between 92 and 50. It's an indicator saying, yes, these guys are going to be a little bit easier to get into, or they may be a little more open to a conversation. Because I can tell you, these guys grinded on cold calls. Yeah. And it was brutal. Really? In fact, this is my favorite ever. So they called this shipper, and I know we're talking Q&A here, but one of my favorites ever is they give a cold call. The lady goes, well, you have to call this particular company. They control all the freight. Literally, they call that company. The voicemail that answers, not the voicemail, but the automated message. You're going to love this. It says, we are not taking carriers or logistics providers right now. If you wish to talk to accounting, press 3. That was it. Like straight up, just blasted him, just blocked him right there for making any more calls. It was just insane. I was like, yeah, it's tough out there. The sales is tough in this economic times. They're getting hundreds of calls.
That's crazy.
Hundreds of calls. So thank you, Shaggy, for watching. We appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, if you guys want to give us a share, give us a Google review. We love those. It really helps us people find us as we try to gain our journey of helping all those freight brokers, carriers, and dispatchers out there.
For sure.
Keep her breaking down here.
Yeah, let's break it down a little bit more. So a few of my favorite things that we've added is just keeping us organized. I know we talked a little bit about this last week, but our CRM functionalities, right? Start making your cold calls. Our goal is to help you find or land a customer, right? So we wanted to make sure that we get you to, maybe it's a current customer. That's our goal.
Yeah.
So you can start marking that. We got a reminder system, and then obviously we got to help you find the point of contact. What they're moving, what's their freight, right?
Yeah.
So you got to really know their industry, and try to learn as much as you can about that shipper before actually, making that call.
Absolutely. So if you go into the Frontera Produce, right, and just click the magnifying button, it's like 4 down. Okay. There we go. Really what we're going to do is we're going to show you a few things. Look at this real quick. You got the splash page right there, so we can go right into their website. You also see a phone number, where they're out of, right? You also see their Facebook page. We try to pull up everything that makes sense for them. Right. It's not just a typical Google search. It's a more laser guided Google search, right? So we get you right to where you potentially need to be, right? The other thing is right now, if you don't have a name, I really recommend you trying to find it. But I think this is kind of interesting. Real quick on this lead. I know we're not talking sales, but I really want to point this out. If you look at this. It says accounting at frontierproduce.com, just right there. Look at this. We already know the email format. Now we just need to figure out who's working there and start sending some emails. It's kind of interesting. And I'm not going to do a cold call, but I really kind of want to, just because I'm like, cool, let's go. Those, yeah. But back to the eCarrierCheck side of things, as far as sales goes and the shipper, go back in there real quick. We put in, just hit a bookmark for me if you don't mind. Man, I tell you what, the reason why there's levels here is because I made the most money as a freight broker and as a carrier on the second call, the third call, the fourth call, the fifth call, and the sixth call. It wasn't number one. Right. So you have to have these little extra layers. The programmers hit this one really on the head because, you're going to call people and they say, I don't want to talk about it. We've got the cold lead, current customer to do, I got to call this guy back, put the phone numbers in their emails. We're not taking this information. This is all private for you to house and hold on to. So,
definitely.
So pop over to the carriers though, because I really want to show the same function with the filters here because it's so important that people see. We've got a couple dispatchers on. I don't know if he's asked any questions, but how do you find carriers, right? And the email said we'll have to hit on that, how you can download everything real quickly. But from the carrier side of things, yes, is dispatching tough. It's just as tough as being a freight broker and selling.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So we did the exact same function here, but now instead of, a hiring index, go into the sort by up there.
Yeah, you now get that ability to do by size of the company, the name, or maybe recently added. So really helpful tools there.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, it gives you, how big are these companies versus, hey, maybe I need to be calling more people in the recently added function. Right. So that helps our cause. I also think that's something, click into there. I love this. Go through this real quick, Nate.
Yeah, so as you can see, when I went to change the location or located near, right now we're just looking at located near. But there's also those circumstances where you try to find carriers in an area, and you could probably be calling 20 of them, and they don't have, maybe they don't have a driver available, right? Or maybe they don't have the availability, right? So this is helpful. The operating near selection here is, let's find some carriers that have been inspected in that area, and let's call them up, see how often they're in there, right? So that's another way for you to search. And this is one of my favorites, the lane functionality. So you can run a specific lane, and let's see some carriers that we have seen being inspected in that lane. Let's run a quick search here.
I like this too because, for me, if I've got a load sitting in Houston that needs to go to Georgia, I'm a big fan of trying to find somebody out of Georgia that's been going to Houston a lot, right? If I can find a guy that needs to get home, sign me up, right? They're call ahead hauls and back hauls. Right now I think everything's just an all, right? You just kind of go wherever you need to make money, economically speaking. But people want to get home. They got their kids, they got their families, they want to get home. Right. So we built this reverse button. You can literally just click this just real quick before you push that. You see how all the carriers, and we have that blurred out for a reason, for the sake of YouTube, and we appreciate you guys. Shout out to YouTube if they listen to us. I don't know. I'm assuming they do. But, all of them are Texas, right? So when you click that button, now you're getting all these Georgia carriers, right? Yeah. And the other nice thing with this real quick is just the bubbles up top. Those are Xable, right? We can get rid of them. No different than you would at Amazon. So if you just click, get rid of whatever, it doesn't matter, van trailer. Yeah, exactly. You see how it just kind of gets rid of things, right? Now you have to go back in and add those things in there, but keep walking through this for me, Nate, just so that people can see the really the crazy depth here of the different types of equipment. Once you click on, hey, open deck, well, what's that mean?
Right. So we put these into a category. So open deck, you're going to find your flatbed types down here. And what's beautiful is, every time you click an equipment type, it's going to be different for you down here. So let's go back to open deck really quick. And we actually were helping a broker about 2 weeks ago finding some stretch flatbeds. It was in a very little town. I think it was in New York somewhere. It was super hard to find. We ended up finding one. But I mean, this is how specific we can get.
Yeah.
Through those stretchers.
And if you think about it, our filters are set up the same way for the carriers as well as the shippers,
right?
For the most part, right?
Right.
And so if I want to find shippers that are doing stretch flatbeds,
we do that same way. Yeah.
Same thing.
Exactly.
Same thing.
And then, I've noticed that a lot of people have a niche, right? I talked to a guy yesterday. He's like, I want to get back into the pipe industry. Well, so we did a couple things. We looked at pipe in our shipper data. We looked at carriers that like to haul pipe with our commodity keyword search.
I love that.
And then what we did is we just dove into a carrier's profile. And what's nice within the carrier profile, you can actually find some leads there. So it's kind of our secret sauce.
Yeah, that's kind of fun.
Right.
I mean, I can't believe you just told people that, but that's fun.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
And then we have carrier size, right? So I know we each have our own, who we like to go after, right? You're more comfortable going after the smaller or those mega. If you're looking for, again, recently active or maybe some hazmat or driver team trailer drops, boom, we got them.
Love that. Love that.
And then company age. I think it's an important thing to find those carriers that are a certain age. You may find it's better to work with carriers that are, 6 to 12 months old.
Yeah.
And maybe you, or maybe 2 years or older.
Yeah.
Ability, so.
Yeah, I know as a freight broker, we always kind of stuck to, they had to be at least, 6 months at least, right? And so it's one of those things. It's one of those things where we were like, okay, let's take that kind of that newness out of the system. It's like going to a restaurant.
Right.
The first 6 months they're learning, right?
Exactly.
Same thing with carriers. But that same functionality for a dispatcher may show that they need you more than you think. Right. Or maybe you find that you can get into carriers better when they are at least 6 months old.
Right.
Day one, probably not the best idea. Day 58, maybe.
Right. For sure. And I think the importance of calling these carriers in those specific areas too, we're going to help you lessen your chance of getting a double broker on a load. So this is huge to be calling carriers in that area and try to plan ahead, in my opinion too. So a couple of things, Shaggy was mentioning about emailing. We have a pretty good list here. Maybe you need a load that's need to be picked up next week and you're trying to be proactive, which I recommend. You can throw these carriers on a list, select all, add to list. Or maybe you simply just want to, if you got about 20 pages, you can actually download the first 20 pages.
Yeah, it's insane how you can do that right now. And we pull out everything pertinent. Like, what do we pull out?
Oh, my gosh. Name, cell phone numbers, fax numbers, safety scores, how many power units they have,
email,
address, point of contact. You're going to be talking your notes, everything. So a couple of things that you also get that ability to do is you can either email from your eCarrierCheck, right? There's my ugly mug. Or you can send an email to these 22 carriers by just taking the emails out and then right-click, copy, paste, right? BCC them.
Yeah.
So
I think from a perspective of what mode do you choose to use to communicate, right? Boy, email is starting to get really, really challenging.
Yes, and I think that's why this thing's super powerful.
Yeah. Email is super challenging. Can you email 1,500 carriers? Sure. Maybe pull out 250 at a time and send really pinpointed marketing and tell them the benefits and things that you do. That could be a benefit as well, right? So really challenge yourself to go, I know this is the easiest way, but what may set me apart? Because I don't know about you, but I get hundreds of emails a day. Mm-hmm. In fact, I lost a couple emails to the hole that comes in the email world here. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this guy actually is serious. I need to talk to this guy and have a combo. And so some of those can get a little bit hectic. So
for sure.
Some there. So I like that.
A couple of things though that I love though is, we have everything right up front, right? You can vet your carriers, you prospect these carriers. I mean, you get to see inspections in the last 12 months, crashes, safety scores. My favorite thing is the matching companies too. We can show you why they're matching, stuff like that. I know we touched base on that a little bit last week as well, but just want to kind of throw that out there again. Yeah,
if you're on the phone, how we design this is, brokers are on the phone, carriers are on the phone. We're always on the phone, right? Mm-hmm. And I think the way we design this is really brilliant. I can just come in here, type in an MC, a DOT,
right?
Just try 733. We'll just do 733 because I remember that off the top of my head. You just click on that, we pull it up, and you can vet it right here and there. Okay. They have one matching company. They got 400 power units. They have 303 inspections. I'd probably hire these guys. Right. I know their authority may show currently that it's there, but I believe their insurance comes up here in 30 days. So our system is kind of flagging things. But we give you the ability to monitor these carriers right here. Or even remind yourself, again, I mentioned that during the shippers, is that the most money I made wasn't in the first call. It was always in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Right.
Definitely.
So, the reminders are so important. And with our reminder functionality, we can send it to you in any way you want.
Yep. Email, text, phone call. We can get pretty weird with it. So
pretty simple, right?
Yeah, it's really simple.
Yeah, pretty simple. If you go back real quick to the previous screen, though, Nate, just for the sake of it, and I know we may be running long. How long have we been on? Have we been on for?
About 20 minutes.
Yeah, 20 minutes. We're doing okay. Dispatching question. Can you explain really? What would be the purpose of moving freight this way? How often does this occur? What would you mean by that? Maybe give me a little bit deeper of maybe change the way you said that for the sake of it. What would be the purpose of moving freight this way? Maybe explain that just a little bit different. How often does this occur? Explain that to me just a little bit more, if you don't mind. I think I can answer you. I think I know where you're going, but I'd like to just make sure I understand. The reason why we made this carrier function, obviously we're talking carriers right now,
Right.
is, what would be the purpose of moving freight this way? Well, that's a good question. Here's my story for the sake of it, is I got really dependent on load boards, right? I'd use Truck Stop, I'd use DAT, I'd use 123, and there's nothing wrong with that. At the time that I was a freight broker, right, I would post, I'd get a call, I'd make some money, life was good, right? Then we go into a challenging or a tighter market, and you'd post a load and they'd go crickets.
Mm-hmm.
Then what? Like literally, then what? What are you going to get on FMCSA and call and pray instead of posting and pray? Forget it, right? So we built this, what would be the purpose of moving freight this way? We built this when, you want to start taking more of a relationship approach to your carrier relationships and not a transactional approach. And so we really started to focus on, we got to find carriers that make sense for our clients in lanes that they're running, with the equipment that they're running, with the size that can handle the capacity that they're running.
Right.
And we would call and find out, hey, here's a client I have right now. Does this make sense to you? It's just it's a better way to target your market with precision. Exactly. We definitely, we definitely take away the shotgun approach of you just blasting in the sky to a rifle. And in some particular cases, and I love this, by the way, there has been multiple occasions here where, a weird amount of times where we'll call a shipper and they'll say, hey, we're looking for these types of equipment, types of trucks to call. And we usually, as a freight broker, I would always ask, do you mind telling me who you're using currently so that I don't call and make this awkward? And honestly, a lot of those shippers were okay with it, because what would end up happening is our system is so friggin' precise. Oh my Lord, we'd find their carrier in a matter of, it didn't matter what it was. It could have been a tanker. We'd have found them.
Yep.
It's insane. So really interesting. 2 drivers. Okay. So let's see. 2 drivers relay, 2 drivers apart from 2 distinct starting sites, many hours apart each other with a loaded truck. They meet in the center, swap cargo, then return to their original locations. What would be the purpose of moving freight this way? Okay. So a lot of people, there's a couple things that people do with this. They used to call this the Pony Express system. And this is kind of interesting. If you know much about XPO, if you know more like anything about XPO or even Old Dominion, when they're running line haul, which I'll explain line haul. Line haul is like, line haul in the LTL world is they go pick up all this large freight, not like UPS or FedEx. We're not talking like a package, right? We're talking like a pallet, right? When they go pick up freight all day, they got to move it at night to get it kind of moving through the system, right? And they call it the Pony Express station. What they would do is just max out the amount of hours that they could move that freight overnight without touching on, say, their 11-hour period or 10-hour period. So get this, they would drive 4 hours, meet another truck, swap trailers. Those 2 trucks would keep going this way. And depending on what they were trying to accomplish in those swaps, is it either go to a spoken hub, right? And I know we're getting really advanced. We're going on another level here. Or they would just keep moving it and Pony Express it. If you're familiar with the history of the Pony Express, I love listening and reading about the Pony Express. They would have riders go. The cat's on a friggin' horse, by the way. Could you imagine, like, literally, I'm serious, you're on a horse just doing this for 4 friggin' hours? I couldn't do it. It's not me.
No.
But, those guys would ride for 4 hours, get another dude, and go. And it's like Usain Bolt running the 4x100, but 4 hours.
Yeah. That's
right? So it's such a great question. Depending on their logistics and what they're trying to accomplish, is their truckload being done like this? A little bit. There's drop yards for California, because California is starting to become like another country. Some of the, some of the, I don't know if YouTube watches that. Do they care? But California is starting to become like this area where some people's trucks aren't compliant. Some people's trailers aren't compliant. So there's drop yards along that whole friggin' miles, either going north or south, and you just go, right? So something to kick around there. But there are people that do this. It's something that they're trying to, a supply chain engineer said, here's the best way of doing this, right? And they made some of those decisions.
Yeah. That's interesting.
So I know that got really deep. I'm super sorry if that got a little further than you wanted, but at least you understand. And if that didn't answer your question, let me know and I'll just keep going.
Yeah.
So,
That's a good question.
It was a great question though, and I really enjoyed it. More like laser surgery compared to load board. Yeah, fully. Our ultimate goal is to help you find carriers that make more sense for you.
Right.
So, and load boards are starting to get. Boy, there's a reason for load boards. I love load boards, but boy, they're getting so murky with, the double broker situation. If you don't vet them, if you don't look and say, well, do they have inspections? If they don't have inspections, I wouldn't hire them. Right. And I know that's tough for new carriers, and they're probably going to call me and say, damn it, you said nobody hired me. Well, maybe there's another way of actually justifying, not justifying, but maybe getting clearance to move for people. Hey, I'm a small guy, and here's my VIN, and here's a code you just text me, and I take a picture, and away we go. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So something to kick around. But it definitely, you've got to have another way of finding carriers, and that's what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, I agree. I talked with the lady this morning, and I was asking, her, I was like, how do you find your carriers? She said, load board. I said, to each their own, but we are here in case this happens,
Yeah.
How does she know that one of her loads got double brokered? She probably doesn't, but
right. Yeah, it'll come through in billing.
It will come. Yeah. I mean, I was explaining that, but that's seemed to be her business model. She loves how to do that. She wanted to come find shippers on eCarrierCheck. That's okay. I hope that she can build some relationship with carriers. I know I'm obviously in tech, but this will definitely help you build those relationships.
Oh, yeah.
And, shippers love that you have technology as well. They want to know you're building relationships with carriers in their area, or just building with them, period.
It's funny. I got to tell you this.
Yeah.
When I was selling prior to this, so I was still a freight broker. We had this platform, but it was just internal. It didn't look like this. It was kind of, It was crazy what it looked like. Yeah. It wasn't very good. Don't tell the programmers. But I would call shippers and say, hey, first off, this is kind of fun. We went to a shipper panel, and they said, I'll get rid of anybody that puts my load up on a load board.
Yep.
Right.
100%.
All of them said the same thing.
I heard it. Yeah.
All of them. There was multiple shippers on the panel. All of them said the same thing. So I used to call shippers, and I say, hey, here's the difference between me and everybody else is I'm not going to put your freight on the load board. I've built relationships with carriers in these areas. Mm-hmm. If this works, our relationship may be good. If it doesn't, then fair enough. We're going to keep moving. But we utilize a digital platform that allows us to find carriers that make the most sense for you.
Right. 100%.
Right? So definitely something for you to kick around and use. If you have any more questions, we try to keep the Q&As to 30 minutes, but if there's more questions, please post them out there. We'd love to talk about that. Friday we have, what are we doing Friday?
We might be doing some sales calls.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, we were supposed to have a guest on. I'm not sure. He's not getting back to me right now.
That's all right.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
People are busy.
We'll be having some fun on Friday, so tune in at 11 Eastern.
Yeah.
Ask some questions again. Reach out to us.
Is there a difference between negotiating with a broker and a carrier? Are the conversations different? Is the approach the same? Boy, that's such an interesting question.
You're bringing the house today.
You are bringing the house today. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good question.
Yes and no. Okay. With a broker speaking, you can always kind of figure out where he's at. If he posts it for whatever, you can see they usually post it. It's only an hour long when Shaggy's on. Yeah, boy, I'm not going to disagree. Shaggy's a talker. I love Shaggy. I can't get enough of that guy.
Same.
We had him on last week. You guys should go back and watch that show if you didn't see it. It was really good. A lot of nuggets in there. But is the difference between negotiating with a broker and a carrier? Are they conversations different? Coming from a freight broker standpoint, I want to kind of post it there, and then maybe we talk about it from a dispatcher standpoint. Okay. As a freight broker, obviously we're going out. We have a shipper that says, hey, you've got $1,000 to move this load, and whatever the price is, I'm just using $1,000, and you're trying to move it for the least amount of money, and make money for yourself, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. And so if I'm a freight broker and I'm negotiating with a carrier, I am probably going to come on there and say, well, I really need to move this for 800. And they keep saying 9. It's like, well, here's the thing. This is where I'm at. Negotiation all depends on who picks up the phone. Okay. Mm-hmm. So if I'm on a load board and the carrier calls me, I've got the upper hand, right? I can probably get them down $50, $100, maybe $2. I don't know. Depends on how desperate or what their need is for that moment, right? Or if they understand their costs, hey, they'll be like, here's the 3 things that I really need, and this is why I need that cost, right? We were more of a giving freight brokerage. So if carrier needed this, we wanted to help him as much as we can.
Right.
Our relationships with carriers were really everything. Okay. Right. As far as negotiating with freight brokers, you can probably always get them up. And to be honest with you, if I'm a carrier out there that needs to make a little bit more money, just understand the times you're in, understand the situation that the broker's in. Mm. So asking the right questions up front. So I'll give you an example. Well, how timely is this load? When are you expecting to get it delivered? Mm-hmm. If they come back with that question and say, I need this there ASAP, it was supposed to pick up yesterday. Sign me up. Right? Yeah. We just got a little bit of a negotiating leg. Okay. Right. If 100 other people called and you're sitting on hold and the broker freaking picks up and say, hey man, this already got booked, which just pisses you off as a carrier. But if that comes up, it's one of those things where some of the lanes, some of the economic aspects of right now, especially, boy, howdy, it's tough to be a carrier. However, if you're a carrier and you're negotiating with a broker, I would always ask for more money. I would just say, hey, can you give me $50? Can you give me another $100? If you go move 500 loads this year and you ask for $50 on every load, not the end of the world. It adds up. Yeah, it adds up, right? Yeah. It all goes toward the cost, right? So if you're negotiating with a broker, I'd ask for more. They may budge and say, that's all I got in it. If you ask the right questions, you can find out if they really need you or not, right? If you're okay with walking away from that load, think about that. So just for the sake of it, also know where you're at. It's DOT week, right? Guess what? Carriers' prices are higher this week. Right? Yeah. They get the opportunity. Health, we've called, I don't know how many carriers, and they're like, we don't go out this week. So capacity's kind of short, a little bit short, right? Yeah. So, it's kind of funny to answer that question. Is there a difference between negotiating with a broker and a carrier? Not really. Just ask the right questions so it puts you in the right position to get the most money. You know what I mean? Now, as far as if you're a dispatcher and you're calling, you're a dispatcher and you're having to deal with your carrier as well as calling a broker, just make sure that you're, trying to get the most amount of money for your carrier, right? And you got to take care of those guys depending on how you're paid. Usually it's a percentage split. Sometimes it's a flat rate, but you take care of them. And I've always been a big believer in the Zig Ziglar, help someone else get to their goals and you'll get to yours. Right. Like and that's what we're trying to do here, is we're trying to get other people to their goals and help you grow that. So I know I went a little long on that one, but at least you understand, ask the right questions. And those questions can be around time. Time is usually the factor that I play the most. Hey, how fast does this need to get there? What are you expecting for delivery? Things like that. Right. You can start to feel, hey, when was this supposed to pick up? Any questions around the time is probably the most interesting. And when you pick up the phone, know who has the end of negotiating. When you're picking up calling carriers, if it's an immediate load, this is why I do like load boards is, what, if it's hot, got to go right now. Let's post it on the load board, cast that net, see if we get somebody, make sure you vet them. Obviously, this is what we do at eCarrierCheck. Right. But man, I tell you what, if you have time, go build that relationship. Time is the biggest negotiating function that I can say. So appreciate y'all. Content and G-rated too. We try not to cuss. We do try to keep her easy of that. So Jeezy Gomez, can eCarrier help me source specific equipment like hopper in the sticks of Iowa or Montana? Oh, I love this. What a wonderful question. We're going to pull this up right now. Give me a city, Jeezy. Give me a city of where you're wanting to find hoppers. Give me some cities real quick, because both those states are a little bit bigger. So tell me where those are at, and I'm going to show you how we can do this. This is the secret sauce. I was a bulk broker. I did a lot in the bulk world. So I love when people say, hey, how do I find people like this? Brita, Iowa. All right, let's go. So Brita, is there not a Brita, Iowa? Maybe IA.
Sometimes I can't.
There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. So let's play the game here, and we're just going to go located near. We got hoppers. Look at that. So there's 25 pages, 6 pages, 25 carriers per page. Right?
Yep.
So all of a sudden, we just got 150 carriers you can call right now.
Right.
Now, let's change this real quick because I want to show Jeezy how we can do this real quick. Okay. Go up into located near and just do BRID again. But let's do operating near.
Ooh, I like that.
So now, all of a sudden, we have a list of other hopper guys that may not be from there. Look at this. Look at this. You know, Ryder's running something there. This Doman Trucking Group, that's probably my favorite. I'd probably call them like tomorrow, or not even tomorrow. I'd wait like right now. They're from North Dakota. They're from Minnesota. They're from, I mean, you call these people. They got hoppers. Let's go. Mm-hmm. I love that question. Wonderful question. It was too easy to break down. But Montana, let's look at that too. That word stick sounds like it makes it more difficult. Yeah, I tell you what, I think in my opinion, those difficult lanes, if you can solve those issues for shippers,
right,
man, I tell you what, you become kind of that service-oriented solutions provider. Did you just do the same thing?
Yep.
You went to Montana though, and that's a huge state. I think she says the city.
Oh, was it Britta?
Ulm, ULM. Sounds like it makes a lot of money. Yeah.
I can't read. I thought it said Let's go with that.
Oh, Montana.
There we go.
Yeah. I've never even heard of it. Oh man, and that is way out in the sticks. There are some hoppers right there. Now let's go change that real quick and make it look for in that area. You know, located near instead of operated near, because that is out in the middle of nowhere. Okay.
That is, yeah.
You know, and sometimes we run our lists and they're not as big as we need them to be. But you know what? You still have a place to start. If you're sourcing hoppers, Jeezy, here's something I always recommend is you have the phone call, you find out about their business. Are they busy or are they not, or whatever it may be. I would always ask them, who else should I be talking to? Yes, eCarrierCheck's going to give you the light. They're going to have you go that way. Exactly. We want you to grow, and we would have paid for our subscription if you would have used it, honestly. I mean, $120 is nothing when it comes to,
right.
I mean, you get 100 loads and make, you know what I mean?
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
It's cheap. It's cheap.
Yeah, that was a really good question.
So great question. I love that you came to us with that. What a wonderful question. Share that news with people that we can help them with that as well.
Yeah,
so
sure.
The other thing that's kind of interesting is eCarrierCheck can connect with your TMS. Right?
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not talking about the way the website works and those functions. But if you have an interest in us connecting with your TMS, reach out to us. Let us know what TMS you're using, and we would be happy to do that as well.
Yeah, for sure.
All great questions. If you got a couple more questions, we're here. We're live. We're doing what we do, and try to help you guys out, grow your businesses. So, I gotta give it up for this. There's a small broker that I talked to that's back east, and this really doesn't have anything to do with eCarrierCheck, but I love this story.
Yeah.
He is probably one of the most positive-minded people I've ever met. He really takes care of himself physically, mentally, and spiritually, and really just has this interesting mindset. We're in a crazy economic time. To get a shipper on the phone is it's 100 phone calls. To get a carrier to let you dispatch for him is 1,000 phone calls, right? And he just gets knocked down constantly. And I got to tell everybody that's watching, you've got to keep that mental toughness.
Yeah.
You got to take care of yourself. Go take breaks. Go up and walk. Get that 10,000 steps a day. Right. But I love to see his no quit attitude. But when his cup is empty, boy, he knows when to go fill it. You know what I mean?
That's important.
Knows how to fill it. Catch up tomorrow, Nate 11 with Say So. I love that you're on.
Yeah.
But make sure you guys are taking care of yourself because that's so important. Just go for a walk, get outside, just take care of your mental toughness.
Yep. 100% agree.
Nate, I don't have anything else for today. It was such a nice day talking to people, helping them out.
Really good questions today. It was awesome.
Close us out, man. We're good.
Obviously every Wednesday or, we try to go throughout in the midweek. We'll do something with the sites. So make sure you subscribe, reach out to us, go to eCarrierCheck.com, send our support an email. let us know you want to connect. We're on LinkedIn as well.
We are.
We love LinkedIn, so connect with us. Let's chat. Let's see how we can partner up and grow your business. And essentially, we're growing together. So
yeah, I love it. Cool.
Yeah.